Rushing to his wife from a business trip, the businessman picked up a strange old woman on the highway. The fortune teller's words made him uneasy. Dick hurried home to finally see his beloved wife, Audrey. She had promised to wait for him to return from his business trip and assured him she wouldn't go anywhere that evening. Audrey wasn't much of a homebody. She was always drawn somewhere. Sometimes to the stores, to meet with friends, or just to go somewhere alone and admire the sunset. They met about 6 years ago. At that time, Dick had just started working at a private law firm. His boss valued him and promised to make him his right-hand man. Dick cherished his job and dedicated all his time to work. He dreamed of becoming a co-owner of the firm by his early 30s. That day, Dick was returning home along his usual route. Suddenly, he noticed a girl. She looked so fresh and young, probably no older than 20. Dick was 27 at the time. The girl was standing by the roadside, her colorful dress gently stirred by a playful breeze, her hair tousled, but she didn't seem to care. The most remarkable thing about this young beauty, and she was indeed very beautiful, was that she was barefoot. Strange, thought Dick, unable to resist slowing down. "Are you all right?" he asked, lowering the window. "Except for dropping my sandals in the river, yes," the girl replied with a carefree smile. She smiled, but her dark blue eyes remained cold. It reminded him of a magazine photo for clothing advertisements. But at that moment, blinded by the girl's beauty, Dick didn't pay any attention to it. "Wow! What did you do to them?" Dick asked jokingly, raising an eyebrow. "I got lost in thought, watching the sun sparkles on the water. Only when I heard a splash did I realize the sandals were gone. So, I walked barefoot." "Do you often walk barefoot across bridges?" "No, not often. I just got terribly blistered. I guess it was meant to be with those awful sandals. Serves them right. Let me drive you home," Dick offered. "Oh, that would be wonderful." She easily fluttered into the passenger seat and into the life of a lonely guy obsessed with work and not at all spoiled by female attention. 2 weeks later, Audrey moved from her dorm room to Dick Foster's modest apartment. She had recently been invited to collaborate with a small agency. She didn't like talking about her job much. "Audrey, don't you want to get an education?" Dick asked one morning at breakfast. "You can't spend your whole life posing for photos." "You know, Dick, as long as they want me, I'll keep modeling. At least I don't have to waste time studying. Reading and memorizing aren't for me. Do you mind?" Dick couldn't help himself. Audrey had turned his head. She was easy and fun to be with. The girl was not stupid, so Dick was surprised she wasn't striving for something more serious than modeling. "All right, Audrey, it's up to you." He didn't want to quarrel with his beloved. A few months after that conversation, Dick proposed to Audrey. Friends and colleagues were surprised that Dick, smart and ambitious, fell for a model who seemed only interested in her looks and perfect photo angles. "Dick, don't you think this girl you're planning to marry will bore you quickly?" his boss asked over lunch at a cafe. "Besides, she seems very young and flighty, as I see it." "No, Fred, I don't think so. You know, I get enough complexities at work, and at home, I want to relax and enjoy life. Besides, with the arrival of a child, I think Audrey will settle down and give up her modeling career," Dick replied dreamily. Dick was 27, but he was already dreaming of children and quiet family happiness. Yes, he planned to become a co-owner of the firm, be able to provide for his family, make his wife and children the happiest so they wouldn't need anything, unlike his own childhood. He was even glad that Audrey didn't have a serious career where she could build her career. Soon she would no longer be as interesting to photographers, who mostly needed young models, not married women with children. They had a lavish wedding. Dick and Audrey were a beautiful and very happy couple. Dick had to endure a photo shoot ordered by his now wife. He understood it was important to Audrey, plus they would have beautiful photos to show their children. The honeymoon was short, both had work waiting for them. Dick couldn't get enough of his wife. She seemed perfect to him, attracting him like a magnet. Dick gave himself to his feelings with all his passion, but Audrey was quite cold with him, often not responding to his caresses, sometimes even avoiding intimacy. Dick tried to talk. "Audrey, why not again?" he asked his wife, who was seductively applying cream to her slender legs. "Dickie, I'm so tired. The shoot was crazy. Sam went wild. He made me climb a hill. Said we urgently needed a photo against the sunset on that damn hill. My legs are shaking from the climb. Sweetie, maybe it's time to quit these shoots? You're a married woman now. Time to think about home comfort and children. Dick, I never told you I was going to quit modeling. I didn't promise to become a cook and a nanny." His wife raised her huge, black-lashed eyes to him. "Besides, we can afford a housekeeper, you said so yourself." "Yes, we can, I'm not arguing, but a housekeeper can't have children for me." Dick took off his watch and placed it on the nightstand. "Dick, what's the rush? We've only just got married, and you already want to turn me into a balloon on legs." Audrey pouted her plump lips. Why a balloon on legs? Her husband didn't understand. Because all pregnant women look exactly like balloons on legs. It's so awful. What if I can't get back in shape? "Audrey, baby, everything will be fine. I'll help you get back in shape. I'll show you this wonderful workout right now." He pulled his wife by the hand. "Dick, not now, please, I'm so sleepy." Audrey lazily screwed the cap back on the cream tube, tossed it onto the nightstand, and got under the blanket. Within a minute, she was peacefully snoring. Dick got out of bed and went to the kitchen. He poured himself a glass of water and drank it down in one gulp. Why was such a stunning woman, who aroused wild desire and made him forget everything else, so cold? Sometimes Dick thought Audrey didn't need closeness with a man at all. It seemed that her photo shoots were enough for her, as if they replaced everything else in the world. She wasn't ready for having children either. Dick sat at the table for a while longer and then returned to the bedroom. Audrey was asleep, and he wandered around for another hour and a half before falling into a heavy sleep. A year had passed since Dick and Audrey's wedding. Of course, Dick hadn't dreamed of a family life where his wife was busy from morning to night with either photo shoots, spa visits, or meeting friends. But he was almost ready to confront the issue directly. If Audrey didn't stop ignoring him, they should part ways. But then something incredible happened. Audrey got pregnant. "Dick, I'm not ready for motherhood. How did this even happen?" "We were careful." His wife looked confused and even irritated. "We'll have to terminate the pregnancy." "Audrey, don't you dare do that." Dick jumped up from the chair he was sitting in. "God is giving us a baby. And you want to kill it?" "Dick, why are you talking like we're in the past century? I'm not against having a child, but just not now, when I have a major project coming up. It means a lot to me." Suddenly, Audrey's phone beeped, signaling a message. She quickly read it. She looked confused and even shocked. The girl quickly put the phone into her pants pocket. "Did something happen?" Dick asked worriedly. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine," Audrey said gently, hugging her husband and pressing her body against him. "Everything's fine, future daddy." Dick's heart warmed. Audrey no longer wanted to get rid of the baby. It was just the hormones acting up that happens with pregnant women. It's okay, he would surround her with care and attention, and Audrey would understand that motherhood is the best thing that could happen to her in life. Even when her belly rounded and no longer fit into her old clothes, Audrey did not stop the photo shoots. Dick worried something might happen to his wife or their future baby. But convincing Audrey of this was impossible. She would start crying as soon as her husband mentioned quitting her job. Dick comforted his wife and was left alone with his worries while she went off to fulfill yet another project that couldn't be postponed. Audrey saw her pregnancy as a way to create a new image for the next photo shoot. In the later stages of his wife's pregnancy, Dick tried to spend as much time with her as possible. He surrounded her with care and attention, fulfilling her every whim. Audrey didn't behave like most expectant mothers. She didn't pick out baby clothes, didn't think about the nursery's design, didn't show interest in anything related to the baby. Dick hoped this would change when their daughter was born. An ultrasound had shown they were expecting a girl. The future father dreamed of holding his little girl, of reading her bedtime stories, taking her to school, and being proud of her achievements. During the few hours free from work, Dick himself dealt with setting up the baby's room and buying everything necessary. He wanted the girl to come into the world and immediately feel that she was awaited and loved, wanting to give her the best. Dick tried his best to avoid that business trip. Fred, buddy, by that time they were co-owners of the company. Audrey is due any day now. I can't leave her now. Dick, please. Only you can handle this deal. You have a knack for convincing partners of what benefits our company. It'll be quick. Before you know it, you'll be back. There was nothing to be done. He had to go. Dick got behind the wheel of his brand new, powerful, and reliable Jeep. He hoped to return in time. The future father was looking forward to meeting his daughter and dreaming it would go perfectly. If anything happens, call me immediately, Dick said as he was leaving. Maybe you'd be better off going to the clinic in advance. I'll cover all the costs. You'll have the best conditions. Dick, everything will be fine. I'd rather stay home. If necessary, I can call an ambulance. Just in case, I'll transfer money so you can cover any expenses. But I'll be back quickly, I promise. This is just a precaution. All right, Dickie, don't worry, we'll wait for you. Audrey kissed her husband on the cheek and ruffled his hair. When Dick returned, he was met with terrible news. The labor started very quickly and unexpectedly. Audrey was taken to a completely different clinic, and Dick's long-awaited daughter was born stillborn. Dick was inconsolable. He cursed that stupid deal he had closed so easily, cursed not sending Audrey to the private clinic they had already arranged with. They would have surely saved the baby there. Everything had been going so well. The ultrasound showed a healthy pregnancy, and Audrey felt great. What surprised Dick the most was that his wife seemed completely calm, as if she didn't care that their daughter hadn't survived birth. A few days after returning home, she was back at her photo shoots, which Dick had come to hate. Dick, it's hard for me too, but work helps me distract myself. No one is to blame that our daughter was born dead. It happens. We need to live on, not dwell on it. The grieving would-be father was unable to work properly. Fred allowed him to take a week off to recover. Dick spent long hours in the baby's room, hugging a huge hippo with a yellow bow on its head, and crying. Yes, he cried like a child, unable to hold back the tears that tried to wash away the pain in his heart that he could barely endure. Over time, the pain dulled, and Dick returned to his old life. There were business meetings, trips, piles of papers, clients. The company thrived, its owners' incomes grew, and their good reputation strengthened. The Foster family bought a new house with a small garden. Living in the old apartment was impossible, at least for Dick. He didn't bring up the subject of children, but he secretly hoped he and his wife would have more babies someday. It has been almost 4 years since that dreadful day when Dick learned of the death of his baby girl. Sometimes, he tried to bring up the topic of their child, but his wife gently stopped him, saying that they would definitely have children when the time was right. When will that time come? Dick asked once again. Dickie, dear, it's not my fault that it hasn't happened yet. We need time to recover. That's what the doctor said. Everything will work out for us, we just need to be patient and wait for the right moment. It's all because of your filming. If you had been more careful back then, not dragging yourself to your useless job with your belly, our daughter would be celebrating her 4th birthday by now. Dick, don't talk nonsense. What does my filming have to do with it? And don't call my work useless. By the way, it brings in income. We don't need the income, Audrey. I can provide for our family. I just want you and our children to wait for me at home. For us to travel together, discuss how to celebrate Christmas. That's what I want. You know what? I don't intend to turn into a housewife and sit with snotty babies all the time. Photography it's very important to me. So you don't want children, right? For you, they're just snotty babies? You're just feeding me false promises that we will definitely have kids, but you. Dick, what am I supposed to do? I can't get pregnant on command. The doctor said we just need to let go, and then it will happen. Okay, baby, I'm sorry. Dick took his wife's hand. I was wrong. Yes, we need to let go. I'll go on this business trip now, and then we'll go somewhere for a week. How do you feel about that? You go first, and then we'll decide everything. Audrey smiled and gave her husband a long kiss. Dick was returning home in a good mood. The goal of the trip was achieved. Their company would reach a new level. The road stretched out in front of him like a gray ribbon. The forest surrounded it on both sides. Evening had already spread its blue hue, and the sky was frowning, threatening to rain. Dick's eyes were closing. He had been driving for several hours. The man hadn't given up his habit of going on business trips in his car. That's why he bought a more powerful Jeep. Dick was fighting off sleep, imagining that soon he would be walking with Audrey along the seashore, enjoying the cries of seagulls and the roar of the waves. The salty air would take away all his sorrows, and, relaxing, fully rested, his wife might get pregnant again. They say that trips to the sea help with that. Suddenly, an old woman emerged from the forest. She looked so miserable and lonely that Dick's heart ached. What if she needed help? Do you need help, ma'am? He asked, slowing down right next to the old woman. It would be good to get to the city, son, she replied kindly. No problem. Get in, I'll give you a lift. Dick helped the old woman into the car. When she took his hand, a strange expression crossed her face, as if she remembered something or maybe saw something. But it lasted only a moment, then the strange old woman sat down, and they started off. They drove in silence for a while, then suddenly the elderly woman said, You're in a hurry to your wife. Yes. Exactly. Dick smiled. We're planning to go to the sea. You're planning, but your wife has very different plans, the passenger said sadly. What? What makes you say that? You don't even know my wife. I don't need to know her. I just say what I see. She took away your happiness of being a father. And you would have been a very good father to your little girl. Chills ran down Dick's spine. He had never believed in fortune tellers, living rationally. But this old woman spoke as if she could see right through him. Probably just tired, that's why I'm paying attention to this nonsense, Dick thought. No one is to blame for our daughter dying at birth, Dick said sadly. She didn't die at birth, the old woman spoke as if she knew it for sure. She lives by the railway in a house with a white flag on the roof. What are you saying? Dick sharply turned the wheel. I say what I see. Stop here, please. Dick pulled over to the side of the road. He couldn't argue with this crazy old woman. Safe travels, she said and disappeared into the trees. Dick tried to shake off the thoughts swarming in his head. Where did this strange old woman come from, spouting nonsense? But this nonsense somehow wouldn't leave his tired mind. Why did she say his daughter was alive and living by the railway? Maybe she really was some crazy woman spouting nonsense to everyone she met? What was she even doing in that forest alone? Why did he stop and offer his help? He always had to go out of his way. But something in the old woman's words made Dick's heart flutter. What was it? Hope that his daughter was indeed alive? Yes, he was really very tired. His mind was clouded if he started believing this nonsense. With such gloomy thoughts, Dick returned home. The house was empty. Why wasn't Audrey meeting him? She knew Dick was returning this evening. They had talked during the day. Dick dialed his wife's number. Unavailable. Strange. Was she on another of her cursed photo shoots again? When will this end? Dick entered the living room. There was a piece of paper on the table. He picked it up, sat down in a chair, and read. Dick, I'm leaving. There's no point in being together anymore. We are too different. Please, don't look for me, I won't come back anyway. Forgive me, if you can. Audrey. Dick felt like he had been hit over the head with a sledgehammer. Everything blurred before his eyes. Your wife has very different plans. He suddenly remembered the words of that crazy old woman he had picked up on the highway. God, what did I do wrong? Dick exclaimed, covering his face with his hands. I loved her so much. I wanted us to be happy, for the house to be filled with children's laughter. I strived to be successful and wealthy. Why? Why did we spend these years together? She didn't need anything but those cursed photo shoots. And me? I just tried to win her favor, her smile, and warm gaze. All in vain. She didn't even want a child. Probably even glad the baby was stillborn. Stillborn. A house with a white flag by the railway, the old woman's words resurfaced in his mind. That evening, Dick drank half a bottle of whiskey and fell asleep without undressing. He woke up to the sound of the phone ringing. Yes, he answered, groping for the phone somewhere near the nightstand with his eyes closed. Dick, buddy, I've been trying to reach you for an hour. I was about to come over. Fred sounded worried. Fred. Listen, I need today. I got so drunk yesterday like never before in my life. What happened? Need help? I don't know. Bro, I don't know anything. Okay, I'll be there soon, Fred hung up. Frederick Black became a true friend to Dick. They were bonded by a common cause and almost identical views on life. Fred also started a family early, but unlike Audrey, his wife bore him 3 wonderful kids one after another and was happy with her motherhood, and she simply adored her husband. Fred, in turn, was madly in love with his wife and his rascals. Dick also wanted such family happiness, such quiet joy. But things didn't go well for him. He didn't recognize Audrey for who she was. He just lost his head over her beauty and ignored everyone, even his own common sense. Yeah, Dick, you look fantastic, Fred laughed when his friend let him into the house. Half a bottle of whiskey, man, and you'll look the same, Dick replied gloomily and poured himself a glass of cold water. Listen, will you finally tell me what happened? Where's your beloved? On set again? Never mind, she'll age soon, and they only need young beauties anyway, probably. Audrey is no longer my story, Fred, Dick massaged his nose with his thumb. Come on. Did you kick her out for good? Fred's eyebrows slowly rose. About time. No, brother, she left on her own, took advantage of my trip and even left a note. Dick picked up the piece of paper from the floor that had awaited him on the table the previous evening. Well. You know, forgive me, but I think this is for the best. You've wasted too much time on that flirt. She's no good for you, I'm telling you. I said from the start she wasn't right for you. Her brain is like a chicken's, but that's not even the point. You just have completely different values and views on life. Yeah, you're right, Fred, as always, you're right. You know, I want to tell you something. But after this, you might not want to stay my business partner. Oh my God, Dick, did you find that flighty girl and kill her in the park? Fred chuckled. No, I haven't gone that far yet, Dick tried to smile. I want to tell you about something else. Yesterday I picked up an old lady on the highway, and Dick told his friend everything the crazy old lady had said to him. Fred listened carefully without interrupting, then thought for a moment. I understand it sounds like nonsense, but I can't get these thoughts out of my head. Dick leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. You know what I'll tell you, friend? It wouldn't hurt to check it out. If, of course, the old lady meant our city. As I understood, she was talking about our city. She said it wasn't far. But how do you imagine checking what she told me? A house, a flag, a railroad. That's how we'll check. There aren't that many houses near the railroad. I remember, back in college, my friends and I rented a shack there. If you want, I'll go with you. Thanks, Fred. Dick patted his friend on the shoulder. Thanks for being here. Come on. So, are we going? No, thank you for everything, but I'll go alone. I'll pull myself together and go. At least to start looking at this place, and then we'll see. Dick parked the car near a playground. The railroad was very close. The sounds of trains speeding along their tracks could be heard. There were indeed few houses. Most of them had already been demolished, and neat 4-story brick buildings with 2 entrances had been erected in their place. As Dick understood it, he needed one of the few remaining private houses. They all looked quite old. Some stood like neglected old men awaiting death. Near some, small front gardens had been set up, with bright flowers pleasing the eye. Dick inspected all these houses, but did not find a flag on the roof. Yes, he was wasting his time. The old lady must be truly crazy, spouting nonsense. Dick was about to give up and go home, but suddenly a young woman with hair the color of ripe rye, holding a small smiling girl by the hand, approached him. "Excuse me, sir," the woman began. "Could you open this bottle for us? It's screwed on too tightly. Chloe and I have tried everything, but it's no use." Her eyes radiated some kind of unearthly light, as if she were holding not a bottle of soda, but a priceless treasure. "Well, let's see if we can uncork this drink of happiness, beauties." Dick didn't even understand why he spoke that way. His heart suddenly felt warm, and it even beat a little faster than usual. Dick twisted the cap. It really didn't want to give up easily. Then the man used his handkerchief and tried again. This time, the cap reluctantly began to turn and finally admitted defeat. "Done, girls," Dick said cheerfully. "By the way, could I have a sip of water?" "Of course," the woman replied eagerly. "I happen to have 3 cups with me. I always take an extra one. Yeah, you never know, you might come across a traveler dying of thirst." Dick smiled broadly. They sat on a bench and enjoyed the cool soda. On a hot day, there was nothing more one could wish for. "My name is Rihanna," the young mother said simply. "And I'm Dick Foster," he replied and took a sip from his cup. "By the way, do you happen to know if there's a house with a white flag on the roof around here?" "And why do you ask?" Rihanna was surprised. "Well, I'm looking for someone. They said they have a white flag on their house, but I haven't noticed any flag." "There was a flag on the roof of Chloe's and my house," Rihanna said, somewhat worriedly. "But there was a strong wind last night. The pole broke. God knows where it flew off to." Dick first looked at the woman, then shifted his gaze to Chloe, who was sitting on the bench, swinging her legs. She had a cute little dimple on her right cheek and big brown eyes. It couldn't be. Could this girl really be his daughter? "But I don't know you," Rihanna said softly. "Maybe you're mistaken." "I've made many mistakes in my life," Dick said sadly, "but I think I'm on the right path here." "Help me hang on that ladder," Chloe suddenly asked, jumping off the bench and approaching Dick. "Mom can't reach it." "Well, let's go. Show me where you want to hang." Dick smiled and stood up from the bench, handing his cup of water to Rihanna. 10 minutes later, they both returned, happy, and plopped down on the bench. "Thank you, Dick." Rihanna looked at him gratefully. "I really can't manage to spot Chloe like that. I'm not tall enough." "But you have a bright soul," Dick said unexpectedly, even to himself. Rihanna just smiled slightly. "Let's buy some ice cream and go home to eat it," Chloe suggested. "I'm in," Dick responded. "Well, I don't mind." "Hooray!" The little girl jumped up and down. "Chloe usually doesn't like strangers." "It's surprising how easily she took to you," Rihanna said as she got up from the bench. "There's a shop nearby. They have amazing ice cream." "Dick is kind," Chloe assured her mother, bouncing impatiently. "He's fun to be with." They ate ice cream in a small kitchen. Dick hadn't felt such peace and unity since childhood. There was no need to choose words carefully, play a role, or act a certain way. They could just chat and eat ice cream. After a while, Chloe ran off to watch her favorite cartoon, leaving Dick and Rihanna alone. From Rihanna's story, Dick learned that her husband had died while she was still pregnant. "Apart from my Chloe, I have no one in the world," Rihanna said. "Would you like some coffee?" "Yes, I would," Dick nodded. Dick didn't know how to start the conversation about Chloe possibly being his daughter. He couldn't figure it out. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed a hairbrush, clearly a child's. It was full of Chloe's hair. Dick stealthily collected them all and slipped them into his pocket when no one was looking. "Will you come visit us again?" Chloe asked, looking straight into Dick's eyes. "I will," he replied confidently. "And you'll hang on that high ladder again." Dick didn't go home immediately. On the way, he stopped by a laboratory. He was determined to find out if Chloe was his daughter or not. His mind told him it couldn't be, but his heart wouldn't listen and pushed him to check. Dick didn't resist. Perhaps for the first time in his life, he listened to his heart instead of being a prisoner of his rationality. Dick returned home tired but somehow fulfilled. It had been so nice sitting in the kitchen with Rihanna, chatting over coffee. It felt wonderful to walk with her little girl and feel like a hero. How little a person needs for happiness, for true happiness. Around 9 in the evening, an email arrived from the lab. With a pounding heart, the man who longed for a family and children opened it. Blood rushed to his head. He read the result 20 times, but nothing changed. He was the girl's father. Dick couldn't sleep that night. It was good that the next day was a day off, so he didn't have to get up early and go anywhere. He kept thinking about how it was possible that his daughter didn't die at birth, as the doctors had reported her death. They were immediately given a death certificate for their baby. Had there been a mistake? Or had someone intentionally arranged this? The image of Audrey with her cold eyes came to mind. Only now did Dick realize that his wife's eyes had never laughed. Her smiles were always for the photographer, and there, you don't have to reveal your soul, you just need to present the right image and choose the right angle. He involuntarily remembered Rihanna's eyes, radiant and sincere. Such eyes you wanted to look into forever, even though there was nothing extraordinary about them, they simply made your soul feel warm and very calm. Dick had been missing this feeling for many years. Dick decided that he had to find out the whole truth, no matter what, even if Rihanna forbade him from seeing Chloe. It was her right. The woman had raised the girl from birth. After all, a mother is not the one who gives birth, but the one who raises the child, as folk wisdom says. Dick couldn't bear it any longer. On Friday, after work, he bought sweets, fruits, and some toys for Chloe and headed to the house by the railway. By the time Dick arrived, the drizzle from the morning had turned into a full downpour. Raindrops drummed on the car roof, the slide, and the ladders on the playground. Puddles bubbled, swallowing more and more raindrops. With a pounding heart, Dick pressed the doorbell. Rihanna stood at the door. She had clearly just come out of the shower, her hair was wet, and her face was flushed. "Hi," she greeted him. Dick thought he heard joy in her voice. "Hi. Sorry if this is a bad time." "No, not at all. Come in. Chloe will be so happy to see you." "And I will too," Rihanna blushed slightly. 2 hours flew by unnoticed. They drank tea with sweets and played various games that Dick had bought. Chloe fell asleep right on the rug in the small living room, hugging a black cat that looked so real. Dick really wanted to surprise the girl, so he tried to choose something special. He succeeded. Chloe fell in love with the cat from the first moment and immediately named it Cherry. "Rihanna, can we talk for a bit?" "There's something I want to ask you." Dick looked into her eyes when they had just put Chloe to bed together. "Yes, ask, of course. If I can, I'll answer." "Tell me, Chloe, she's not your biological daughter, is she?" Rihanna raised her gray-green eyes to Dick and opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a sound. "Chloe is my daughter," the woman finally managed to say. "I won't give her to anyone." Calm down, Rihanna. I didn't come here to take your child away from you, but just to understand what happened back then, more than 4 years ago. My wife, Audrey, said that our daughter was stillborn, and then we were given a death certificate. Audrey Foster, the woman asked sharply. Yes, she's my wife, ex-wife. Do you know something about her? I only know that she tried in every way to get rid of her newborn daughter. What do you mean? Dick didn't understand. And Rihanna told him everything that happened more than 4 years ago in a small maternity hospital on the outskirts of the city. Rihanna had a difficult pregnancy. It was understandable. The young woman had lost her husband when she was 3 months pregnant. She was left all alone, without support. She was put on bed rest about a month before the expected due date. Lots of IVs, injections, pills. Rihanna was eagerly waiting for her daughter, the fruit of her love with her husband. There were few women in labor that night. This maternity hospital was not popular among expectant mothers, small, on the edge of the city, with not very new equipment. They were planning to close it down or rebuild it. Rihanna was already in labor when Audrey was brought in. She kept complaining about the pain, saying she didn't want this child at all and that she had no time for kids right now as she had a big project coming up at work. The women gave birth almost simultaneously. But Rihanna's baby couldn't be saved, asphyxia and severe malnutrition. Audrey gave birth to a perfectly healthy girl, but the mother didn't even look at her child. That's when Rihanna made a desperate move. Listen, give me your daughter, she cried. What? You are willing to take the child? Audrey stared at Rihanna. I can't live. I was so looking forward to my baby. I recently lost my husband. And now my daughter has gone to heaven, barely born. You can't imagine what a favor you'd be doing me if we exchanged our children. How lucky that we both have girls. Rihanna looked so happy, as if she had won $1 million. She paid the doctor and the midwife. They had nothing to lose. Both mothers agreed to the exchange, so there was no crime, only help to achieve what each desired, a daughter for one, freedom from a child for the other. Everything was documented properly. Audrey was discharged 2 days later, and Rihanna went home with her long-awaited daughter, even though she was not her biological child. Dick listened and couldn't utter a word. He couldn't wrap his head around the fact that Audrey had done such a terrible thing. She had deprived him of the happiness of being a father. She must have lied about not taking any contraceptives. Audrey never intended to let this happen again. Becoming a mother was not part of her plans for the next 10 years, maybe more. She had her photo shoots waiting. She probably didn't even terminate the pregnancy because it was beneficial to her. Maybe the photographer suggested some crazy project where a pregnant woman was needed. It was never clear how Audrey was photographed. She never talked about it and tried to change the subject if Dick ever started asking questions. Now all of that, of course, no longer mattered. What mattered was that Chloe was Dick's daughter and she was very lucky with her mother. Rihanna tried to give the girl the best of everything, although she was financially constrained. Fortunately, the young mother managed to find remote work at a transport company. She adored Chloe and thanked fate that Audrey Foster had exchanged her for the baby who had gone to a better place so early. My God, I blamed myself for years for not saving my daughter, for not forbidding Audrey from running around to those silly photo shoots. And all this time my girl was living here. Dick pressed his forehead against his clasped hands, elbows on his knees. Audrey Foster, Rihanna said slowly, pushing an empty cup away. You know, I didn't even know she was married. She looked like a young girl. I can imagine how hard it was for you. Rihanna touched Dick's shoulder. They were silent for a while. How did you find out about all this? Rihanna asked gently. How did you find us? You won't believe it or you'll think I'm crazy, Dick said slowly. If you want, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you the incredible story that happened to me on the road a few days ago. Yes, I want to hear it, please. I promise, I won't think you're crazy. You're not crazy, you're a very good person. You would have gotten along great with my late husband. He was just as kind and soulful. Then Dick told her everything that had happened to him on the highway that night when he was returning home from a business trip full of hope. Yes, Dick, it's all very strange and surprising. Rihanna gathered her hair in a bundle at the back of her head with a rubber band, which she quickly removed from the wrist of her left hand. Say, you're not going to take my Chloe away from me, are you? I realize that she's your own daughter, but... No, of course not, Rihanna. It's cruel to take a child away from its mother. Just let me be in your life. He looked into her eyes. Thank you, Dick. She put her hand on his wrist. Rihanna's palm was slightly cool and her skin was very soft. Dick suddenly felt like he wanted to hold this cute blonde against him and never let go again. So you'll let me see Chloe? And you, too? Dick looked at the woman questioningly. His eyes were waiting for an answer. Of course, Dick. You have the right to do that. But let's not tell Chloe the whole truth just yet. Let her get used to you, okay? Whatever you say, Ree. That's what my mom used to call me when I was little, she smiled. My mom called me Rabbit when I was a kid. Why? Rihanna wondered. I loved carrots, just to the point of insanity. You're so full of it. I have a bag of fresh carrots in the refrigerator. Can I get some? They both laughed. Each of them was thinking about something different, but a common thought crossed Rihanna's and Dick's minds. They felt as if they had met after a long separation. That's what happens when you are separated from a friend for a long time, and then you meet him and realize how poor life was without him. What only tricks do not make up a rascal fate to make two people meet. Sometimes they have to go through a lot of tests to then find happiness. Dick tried not to think about what he could do with Rihanna. He just felt good in this house, good that he had found his daughter and now he could communicate with her. Nor did Rihanna think about anything else. Dick burst into her measured life like a whirlwind. This whirlwind brought a sea of positive emotions and her cute baby Chloe. It was already getting dark outside the window, and they were still sitting across from each other, and neither of them wanted it to end. There was clearly something amazing and unusual ahead of them. Fate wouldn't bring these two together so easily, much less put them through so many trials.